Caitlin Clark is not on there. Many fans have noticed this, by the way. Angel Reese is not on here. Oddly enough, no fans have noticed that. Funny how that is. Paige Bueckers is on here. Now, Rhodes, does that mean Caitlin Clark's not going to make the team? I don't think that's what that means. I don't. I think, and maybe this would go for Angel too. Who the hell knows? I would think Angel has made this.
The official roster for the upcoming USA Basketball Women's National Team training camp just dropped, and it has absolutely set the internet on fire. When the 15 names heading to Phoenix were finally released to the public, millions of fans immediately scrolled past the Olympic veterans, past the college stars, and frantically searched for one specific name. But she wasn't there. Caitlin Clark, the player who single-handedly rewired the financial infrastructure of women's basketball, was glaringly absent from the list. The immediate reaction wasn't just confusion, it was absolute, unfiltered disbelief. Fans instantly recognized the terrifying parallel to the Paris Olympic snub from just a year ago. But if you look closely at the names that actually did make the cut, and more importantly, the executives pulling the strings behind the scenes, you realize this isn't just a simple scheduling conflict. This is a highly calculated move by the old guard of women's basketball, and it exposes a deeply uncomfortable truth about how power actually operates in this league.
Let's take a look at this, folks. Guys, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. The U.S. Basketball Women's National Team announced today, and we'll get to some fan reaction in a minute, the 15 players who will participate in the training camp set for April 1 through the 3rd in Phoenix. The camp will feature Olympic gold medalists Napheesa Collier, Sabrina Ionescu, A'ja Wilson, Stephanie Dolson. This one is confusing people, but she is on this team because of the 3x3. You see right there that she won a gold medal in 2020 in the 3x3.
To understand the sheer absurdity of this roster, we have to break down the official explanation being pushed to the public. The narrative claims that the April training camp in Phoenix is strictly an evaluation period for bubble players trying to secure a spot. But the math on that logic immediately falls apart when you look at the attendees. You have absolute titans of the sport like Napheesa Collier, Sabrina Ionescu, and A'ja Wilson packing their bags for Phoenix. These are established Olympic gold medalists. They do not need to be evaluated. Their spots on the international stage are cemented in stone. So if the camp is meant for veterans to build chemistry, why is the reigning Rookie of the Year sitting at home? And if the camp is meant to test unproven talent, why is Juju Watkins, who hasn't played a single second of professional basketball, getting a golden ticket, while the WNBA's undisputed assist leader gets completely ignored? The criteria for this camp changes depending on which player you are talking about, and that inconsistency is exactly what has fans sounding the alarm.
Bueckers, Cameron Brent, Veronica Burton, Rickea Jackson, and Juju Watkins attended the camp held in December 2025. Michaela Blakes won gold in 2025 at the FIBA Women's America Cup and will make her senior national team camp debut. Brittany Sykes is also going. Stevens is going. All right, so this is interesting. Kayla Thornton right here will make her U.S. basketball debut in Phoenix. And in case you're wondering, Kara Lawson is still leading this camp. Stephanie White. Good God. Great. Nate Tibbetts, all these coaches dodging the WNBA.
The defensive argument from USA basketball loyalists is that Caitlin Clark doesn't need to be in Phoenix because she already proved herself during the FIBA World Cup qualifying tournament in Puerto Rico this past February. She ran the point, the team went completely undefeated, and she supposedly locked up her spot. On the surface, that sounds like a reasonable, logical explanation. But there is a massive, gaping hole in that theory, and her name is Paige Bueckers. Paige was also on that dominant Puerto Rico squad. Yet, she is the only member of that specific February crew being called back into the gym for the April evaluations. If Puerto Rico was the ultimate audition, why is Paige being forced to audition twice? The conflicting messages coming from the national team program suggest that they are making up the rules as they go along, twisting the evaluation process to fit a predetermined narrative, rather than building a roster based purely on merit.
More strange, scratching your head decisions made by coaches after a chaotic offseason. What are we doing exactly? Stephanie White, looking at you. So, a lot of response here. Where's Caitlin Clark? A lot of, hey, yeah. What are we doing? What the F? Don't piss me off. Where the hell is Caitlin? Why ain't Caitlin gonna be there? I feel like Clark is already a lock. Where's Caitlin Clark? Damn, no CC. Boy, people saw this quick, fast, and in a hurry. Paige is there, but no Caitlin. No Caitlin Clark, no Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston, we still don't know exactly how injured she is from Unrivaled. That's something we haven't heard anything more about, by the way.
But what happened next revealed something incredibly fascinating about the current hierarchy of the WNBA. Amidst all the screaming, the thousands of angry comments, and the endless debates about Caitlin Clark's absence, almost nobody noticed the other massive omission. Angel Reese is not on the training camp roster either. She attended the previous evaluation camp back in December. She put up historic rebounding numbers during her rookie campaign in Chicago. She was a dominant, headline-grabbing force all year long. And yet when the Phoenix roster dropped, the silence surrounding her absence was deafening. The fan response was absolute crickets compared to the nuclear firestorm over Caitlin. That stark disparity tells you exactly where the undisputed center of gravity resides in women's basketball right now. The league has many incredible stars, but Caitlin Clark is the singular sun that the entire solar system orbits. When she is excluded, the entire ecosystem reacts. This brings us to the most controversial, heavily whispered theory that no one in the mainstream media wants to touch. We have to talk about the undeniable power of the UConn connection. Enter Sue Bird. She is an absolute legend of the game, a multi-time gold medalist, and deeply embedded in the sport's highest levels. She is also the managing director for USA Basketball's women's program. Sue Bird is UConn royalty. Diana Taurasi is UConn royalty. Breanna Stewart, Maya Moore, the list of alumni who have dominated the national team is endless. The pipeline from Storrs, Connecticut to international gold medals is the most established, fiercely protected fraternity in women's sports. And now Paige Bueckers, a current UConn star who has battled devastating injuries and hasn't stepped foot on a WNBA court, is getting premium camp invites, while the greatest rookie point guard in professional history is iced out. When the managing director's alma mater continually gets the benefit of the doubt, it stops looking like an evaluation and starts looking like pure nepotism. While the internet was busy fighting over the UConn pipeline, a much darker, more tangible crisis was quietly unfolding for the Indiana Fever. We need to talk about Aaliyah Boston, because her absence from this training camp signals a massive disaster. Boston is the defensive anchor of the Fever, the crucial piece that allows Caitlin Clark to thrive. But back in late February, while playing in the newly launched 3v3 Unrivaled League, Boston went down with a mysterious, undisclosed injury. She was immediately pulled from the Puerto Rico qualifiers, and over a month later, we still have absolutely zero clarity on her health. The unrivaled league was heavily promoted as a way to keep players domestically employed during the winter, but it is turning into a physical meat grinder. These athletes are playing a grueling summer WNBA schedule, transitioning straight into winter leagues, and heading right back into April training camps with zero recovery time. Boston's injury is the exact nightmare scenario the Fever front office was terrified of. And Caitlin Clark's genius might actually lie in what she chose not to do this winter. She actively declined to participate in the unrivaled league. She walked away from the massive promotional money, took the winter entirely off, completely vanished from the public eye, and focused on resting her body. She recognized that the modern basketball calendar is a trap designed to run players into the ground. By skipping the Winter League, she showed up to the Puerto Rico qualifiers incredibly fresh and dominated the floor. It is highly possible that she is treating this April training camp exactly the same way. She might be prioritizing her health, her upcoming grueling WNBA season, and her commitment to the Indiana Fever over performing in a meaningless Phoenix evaluation camp. But if that is the case, the optics of the USA basketball announcement were handled catastrophically, leaving the door wide open for intense public speculation and anger. But the most bizarre and uncomfortable dynamic of this entire situation involves the head coach of the Indiana Fever, Stephanie White. After a wildly chaotic coaching carousel this past offseason, White was brought in to elevate the Fever from a playoff team to a legitimate championship contender. Her number one priority should be building an unbreakable bond with her franchise point guard. Instead, Stephanie White is packing her bags for Phoenix as a member of the USA basketball coaching staff. Think about the psychological optics of that decision. The head coach of the Indiana Fever is going to spend the first week of April evaluating rival guards, running drills with Paige Bueckers, and strategizing with the old guard of the league, all while her generational superstar is completely excluded from the building. It creates an unnecessary, awkward tension before the WNBA training camp even tips off. You cannot build a dynasty when the head coach is actively participating in a national team program that refuses to acknowledge the greatness of her own player. If we actually step back and look at the raw data, the concept of evaluating Caitlin Clark is completely insulting. We are talking about a player who averaged over 19 points and 8 assists in her rookie campaign. She completely shattered the all-time WNBA single-season assist record. She became the first rookie in the history of the sport to record a triple-double. She was the unanimous Rookie of the Year and finished fourth in the overall MVP voting. Opposing defenses threw double teams, blitzes, and physical aggression at her every single night, and she still carved them apart. The idea that she needs to run drills in Phoenix to prove she belongs on a roster with players who couldn't match her statistical output on their best days is a complete joke. The resume is on tape. The numbers are immortalized in the record books. If USA Basketball genuinely needs to evaluate her any further, they simply aren't watching the games. So what is actually driving this decision? It all comes back to control. The old guard of women's basketball has operated a very specific, closed-door ecosystem for over 2 decades. You wait your turn, you pay your dues to the veterans, and you respectfully ask for a seat at the table. But Caitlin Clark didn't ask for a seat. She brought her own table, and she brought 3 million new viewers with her. She represents a terrifying shift in power because her massive popularity exists completely outside of the establishment's control. Leaving her off the Phoenix training camp roster is the ultimate power play. It is the USA basketball hierarchy using the only leverage they have left to remind the new superstar that she doesn't run the sport. They are sending a very clear message. No matter how many television records you break, no matter how many signature shoes you sell, we are the ones who control the prestigious gates of international basketball. The ultimate irony is that this desperate attempt to maintain control is going to backfire spectacularly. USA Basketball is currently playing a highly dangerous game with a fan base that does not care about the league's ancient history or its unwritten rules of seniority. These new fans are entirely loyal to Caitlin Clark, and they have an infinite amount of entertainment options at their fingertips. If the national team program continues to play political games, if they actually dare to put Paige Bueckers on a final roster while snubbing the reigning WNBA Rookie of the Year, the backlash will make the Paris Olympic controversy look like a minor disagreement. They will actively alienate the exact demographic of young, passionate fans that corporate sponsors are paying billions of dollars to reach. So, how does this incredibly tense standoff actually end? The most likely scenario is that USA Basketball will quietly fold under the massive public pressure. Sometime in late May, they will casually announce the final roster for the FIBA AmeriCup, and Caitlin Clark's name will magically be on it. They will spin the narrative, claiming she was a lock the entire time and that the fans simply overreacted to a routine training camp schedule. They will desperately try to sweep the blatant disrespect under the rug to protect their own credibility. But the fans are keeping receipts. They are watching every single move